All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Me here, talking real music in real time for a couple of real people out there, just like you and just like me. Um, Here is a band that is carrying on the legacy of quality melodic rock. Perfect Plan. This is the kind of music that old geezer type people like me ought to be listening to. If they're getting bored with terrestrial radio, or they've got a collection of music at home, you don't have to buy everything I recommend, but this is one of the top bands of what I call the new melodic rock era, which we are in, which a lot of people don't even know about. Brace for impact. Kent Hilly, one of the finest singers on the planet. Yes, I said it. It's true. Go listen to it. Band now has 3 albums. I have all 3 of them. And I wouldn't have all 3 of them if I didn't believe in the quality of the music and really strong songwriting, really great playing, and also ear candy as well. Put some headphones on. I mean, this is, melodic rock for 2022. And again, if you like Survivor or Whitesnake or Foreigner, I'm thinking Perfect Plan might be for you. Speaking of Foreigner, Lou Gramm apparently had a chat with Eddie Trunk the other day. And for some reason, interviewers have been goading Lou Gramm into commenting about Kelly Hansen. And Lou has been saying some interesting things about Kelly Hansen. I have at least one video on the topic out there. I just find it a little weird that after 17 years, we're going to attack the new, quote unquote, new singer in Foreigner, who I think has done a good job at keeping the band afloat. In fact, I think it was 60 Minutes that did a feature on Mick Jones saying the remarkable comeback of Mick Jones in Foreigner, right? Now, I defended Lou Gramm up and down when people were commenting on his voice, maybe a few, 4 or 5 years ago when I first started doing this. And a lot of people didn't realize that Lou had brain surgery to remove a very large tumor, right? And so that affected his pituitary gland. If I remember reading everything, it certainly affected his vocals, and it affected his weight. It affected a lot of things. And I think when Lou felt healthy enough, he went out there, he sang a while again with Foreigner. Mick Jones eventually made the decision that Lou wasn't his old self. And there was a huge difference between, say, Lou when he sang on Petra Praise 2, if you know what album I'm talking about, by the Christian rock band Petra. Lou is actually on that album singing some vocal parts, and he sounds like Lou. And that was, late 90s, I think. And then next time you see Lou, he's singing with Foreigner. I think there's like a full orchestra, and something is different. Something is very different about Lou Gramm at that point. Mick Jones decided that they were going to continue on without Lou Gramm. And it's a sad thing. I don't necessarily think Lou Gramm was treated all that well. And I have said so numerous times. I think Lou Gramm, based on his vocal performance, ought to be getting some kind of songwriting credit, publishing credit from I Want to Know What Love Is, just as a courtesy. Lou basically gave Mick Jones the middle finger when he said, hey, I'll give you 5%. That wasn't cool, right? And the reason being is Mick Jones knew. He knew he had something really special. And it sounds like Lou might have been a little bit resistant to the song. And also, over the years, it's been public knowledge that Lou Gramm didn't like the power ballad direction that Foreigner was going in. it's so weird over the years how these power ballads have been the radio staples. They've been the thing that has continued the gravy train through all these years. You turn on the radio today, you're probably going to hear I Want to Know What Love Is. You're probably going to hear Open Arms by Journey, or, pick a power ballad that was big. Can't Fight This Feeling. Way too much. Great song, but way too much airplay, right? But that's what's kept these bands in the black financially. They can go out and tour, and they have some revenue coming in from the songwriting. So all that to just kind of say here that I have defended Lou. I think Lou is one of the greatest singers in the old melodic rock era, bands like Foreigner and Kansas and Journey and Styx, and obviously many other bands, but he's just one of the best. Jimmy Jamison will always be my favorite. The guy was just insane. He just on a different level. I mean, these guys were all like a 9.8. Jimmy Jamison to me was like a 10 plus because of the way he took control when he sang. He just sounded like he had so much energy and so much enthusiasm. Even when he was older, he didn't not sound like Jimmy Jamison. Whereas a lot of these singers, when they age, they just don't sound like their former selves. And unfortunately, in Lou's circumstance, that was the truth. He just didn't sound like he did on Petra Praise 2, which I think was the last recording he did prior to all of the brain injury and brain surgery and all that stuff. So wasn't an injury, it was a tumor, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, Lou goes on with Eddie Trunk, and Eddie and the other interviewers have been asking him lately what he thinks of Kelly Hansen. And he says some good stuff. He says, yeah, he's a good singer, and he sings well, but he mimics me. He does the ad libs, he does the vocal licks. And Lou Gramm says, that's offensive to me. That offends me. And Lou loses me when he says that. He loses me. He's a great guy. He's a smart guy. And again, one of the great vocalists of all time. But think of it this way, right? So you've got this band and you've got these songs on the radio still. And people know the songs from the radio. They show up at the concert. You've got a singer doing his own thing, creating his own little vocal licks and his ad-libbing and so forth, which is different from the song the way it was sung originally. And people are like, this is pretty good, but this singer, I don't know, something is off about this guy. And also complaining about the fact that Mick Jones may have had Kelly Hansen study, like, hey, this is what Lou Gramm sounds like. You want to be as close to Lou as possible. Try to be Lou Gramm, because our audience, they know these songs because of Lou. So to me, that's almost like flattery. Hey, I want to be like Lou Gramm. I want to do what Lou does. And Lou is basically saying, yeah, but you guys, you're taking this too far. I mean, if I burp between two notes, you guys, you've got that down. You're doing the burp. You're doing my exhale before, the next syllable. And yeah, that would take a lot of studying. And it's been going on now for 17 years. What's weird to me is all of a sudden, not even after the big reunion show, it seemed like everybody got along at that show. We had Mick Jones and Lou Gramm show up at Madison Square Garden to sing with Billy Joel. And that was like sort of off the grid. You got the original singer and you got Mick Jones up there, and they're doing Foreigner songs. And I thought that was really cool. But then, a couple of years later, you got this, like, yeah, you're going to ask me about Kelly, and it's offensive to me that he's imitating me. Now you can go in two different directions here. You could say Lou is right. The guy should make up his own stuff, and maybe fans would still enjoy it. They probably would. However, if you want that, hey, I went to go see Foreigner and they sounded like Foreigner experience, if you want that experience, then the guy who replaced the other guy probably should know how to be like the other guy. It's really a catch-22. And for old school fans, they're just going to say, well, no, there's nobody like Lou. I'd rather hear Lou than hear Kelly. And I'm just going to be brutally honest. There are things that Lou can't do and hasn't been able to do for quite some time the way he used to do it. Kelly, on the other hand, Kelly is now in his 60s. He can do all those things for the most part. I haven't heard Kelly shy away from notes. I haven't seen Kelly doing the old microphone trick where you face the microphone to the audience so they can do the singing, because here comes a vocal part that I might not be able to do. I'm seeing that more and more with older bands. I mean, it was rampant on the stadium tour, and I'm sure it's going to get worse unless you're Skid Row and you just hired like the greatest singer on the planet, really. I mean, the guy is just insanely good. And that's actually the solution. If people want this to continue, they're going to have to admit to themselves, all right, my favorite singer from 1985, he's just not the way he used to be. And honestly, I shouldn't expect him to be. So you could do one of two things. You could just not attend concerts and keep your music collection, find some old footage, DVDs or whatnot, and enjoy them and just watch them. Hey, there's nothing that really compares to that Journey live in Houston concert with Steve Perry. You're not going to top that. I posted that on my Patreon, and it's just a reminder to me how amazing that band was in their prime. And Foreigner, by the way, in 1981 was just as good. They're hitting on all cylinders, and you're not going to top that. What this is really, we're trying to keep this music going. I'm Mick Jones, and I'm trying to keep this music going. And I say, this guy here can keep it going. Is it exactly like Lou? Of course not. Nobody is saying this guy is better than Lou Gramm. He's not. He's not better than Lou. He has a different stage persona than Lou. In fact, Lou kind of complains about that because when the new band and the old band got together, apparently Kelly Hansen didn't know how to shut up on stage, and Lou wanted to talk more, and Kelly basically started blabbing as soon as the last note was sung. So obviously, it sounds like there was a little bad blood there. There's obviously a problem. But, everybody handled it well at the time. I was reading, hey, these two bands, they got together surprisingly well. They were joking, they're having fun, and everybody was just happy to be there. And now you hear, hey, sour grapes, here comes some sour grapes. And maybe you don't think it's sour grapes. Maybe you think this is legit and Kelly should knock it off. Well, somebody probably should have spoke up back in 2005 and said, this guy is just like a ripoff. He's just ripping off Lou Gramm left and right. And then you've got fans that are going to say, well, I did pay good money for these tickets, so I would like Foreigner to sound like Foreigner. So I don't know. Here's the thing about Lou. He's got every right to say whatever he wants to say. He's Lou Gramm. And seeing somebody else come along and basically kind of steal his thunder, that must really suck. Okay, let's just be honest. It's watching this unfold, and maybe people have forgotten about Lou Gramm. You should never forget about Lou Gramm. Lou Gramm is one of the greatest rock singers of all time, period. Full stop. There's nothing else to say after that. I mean, you may have your favorite. You may think Lou is the best. You may think Steve Perry is the best. You may think Steve Walsh is the best, right? Like me, you may think Jimmy Jamison is the best. Survivor, right? Just insanely great vocalist. I had Jim Peterick on, I think, a couple of years ago, And we're both sitting there just doing the Jimmy Jameson Admiration Society because we both are on the same page. Obviously, if you're Jim Peterick, you know how amazing Jimmy was as a singer. And Survivor, you know, they tried to replace Jimmy, and they hired a kid basically from the American Idol, The Voice kind of thing. And it was just okay. It wasn't even okay, to be honest with you. Whereas, look, Mick Jones chose very wisely with Kelly Hansen, and Neil Schon, I think, chose wisely with Arnel Pineda, and I think they chose wisely with Steve Augeri, who's obviously still out there, but his voice really took a beating singing those Journey songs. And you know, Kelly Hansen, to his credit, still sounds pretty good. Someday, people will be complaining that Kelly Hansen needs to quit or Foreigner needs to fold up shop because they have 0 original members. And my guess is Mick Jones will give whoever has the reins of this, he'll give them his blessing and he'll oversee it. And then, you know, when he is no longer here, I'm sure he'll officially sign it over to somebody else. That's what's happened with a lot of these older bands. I mean, the Grassroots are touring. You know who the Grassroots are? A band from like the 60s. There's a band who says they're the Grassroots, who really sound almost nothing like the original Grassroots with Rob Grill as the singer. And people show up to see shows. They do. They were a great band and probably should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And people are paying money to go see this band that is really nothing like the original. Whereas Foreigner, they sound plausible, you know? Anyway, folks, it's a lot to think about, even though it's, you know, not a deep subject. I don't know if Lou Gramm should be offended by Kelly Hansen wanting to mimic him. I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, why is that offensive? It's just the way things have been now for 17 years, and to notice it or to talk about it so long after the fact, it maybe something else is going on here. We know that Foreigner is not even being considered for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's really where things should go as far as the conversation. Why isn't Foreigner in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? So, but it's interesting, I guess. This is what people are talking about when it comes to Lou Gramm and Kelly Hansen. Kelly has fans. There are some people that just don't like Kelly Hansen as a person. I've been getting some of that lately, and I don't know the guy personally. So I can't really comment on that stuff. But anyway, just another little piece of the soap opera, if you want to call it that. It's not really a soap opera. It's just the older guy just critiquing the younger guy and saying, look, you're trying to be like me too much, and you probably should just find your own, you know, niche there. And anyway, I think it's probably too late for any of that. Perfect Plan, never too late to listen to some great new music. This is Brace for Impact. Great album cover, huh? With the world the way it's going today, it's really appropriate. And you can go out and listen to that. And you won't be disappointed with Kent Hilly, who is the lead singer, who could probably sing lead vocals for Foreigner. Absolutely. All right, people, I'm done. Sorry for the long video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Patreon for just $1 a month. And I will see you soon.